Okay, so the beginning of the year I usually have a few teaching engagements, but due to current situations that's not the case. So to satisfy my need to instruct, I will share a common technique today about glazing. So a lot of times there's lots of questions about glazing, but glazing is simply adding a transparent color or semi-transparent layer of paint to an existing layer of paint. You hear them talk about old masters doing this expertly all the time, and so can you really. The goal is just to create a richer layer, and it can be done over an entire piece or just on a chosen section. So I'm going to demonstrate quickly 3 different ways we can do this. So first of all, I'm going to start off on watercolors. So basically one of the things you need to make sure is that your paint's dry that you're going to layer over. So here's watercolor. This is completely dry to the touch. And because it is dry, I'm simply going to wet my brush, just using the water, go into this wet paint just a little bit, and I'm just going to go over that color. So that's just simply glazing over watercolor with another color. Okay? So what if you paint in acrylics? Well, again, you can use water. So here are my dried acrylics. Again, you want to start off with the dry patches completely. Usually use water as a medium, but you can also get this product called Acrylic Glazing liquid. And it's actually good because what it does is it allows the paint to, it allows this opaque paint to just sit on top of the paint instead of covering it completely like acrylic has a tendency to do. Like with a lot of things, less is more. So you're not going to need a lot of this, but I'm just going to put a little bit more than normal of that so you can see it, so you can see the consistency of it, and it'll show up. But you're not going to need nearly that much at all. We are going to do a little bit of the blue. And as you know, watercolor, not watercolor, but acrylic usually just covers over. But in this case, I'm going to take a little bit of that color and a little bit of this, just a dab. And get a nice consistency here, And then I'm just going to float over that yellow. And as you can see, you can still see the yellow underneath. Okay, so that's glazing over acrylics. If it's too much, you can always go in and take a little bit off to make it a little bit thinner. But this medium just lets it just kind of sit right on top. So that's glazing with acrylic. Now what some may consider the most difficult, but basically you're following the same process, is with oils. Again, we want to make sure whatever we use is dry. So this is a little black and white painting that I started, and you're going to use a medium. There's usually, it's a liquid and terps ratio, and then you'll have to play with that to figure out exactly what you want to use. So I've already made a little mixture here, and again I am going to dip my brush in the medium, and then I'm going to dip my brush into a little color pigment. And I'm going to just go right over that painting and glaze it. Now I may decide to use some other colors or several other colors, but you can see how the glazing over it didn't really change the painting because that's all completely dry, but it is adding a richness to it that wasn't there before. So pretty much that is the basics of glazing. You can do multiple layers of color, and I probably will on this one and then show you what it looks like later. Once it's dry, you can go back and make corrections if you need to in the painting, or even add highlights. The choice is yours. But basically you're going to want each layer to dry. And hopefully this explains and takes a little bit of the mystery out of glazing. Happy painting!